But when you find out, we are at the time in our society. This is
they remain. And so when we form our understanding about who we are and what we have to
Hey guys, welcome to Holistic Soldier, Embrace the Power. Hey, I'm off today, and I'm here to talk about toxic leadership. My man Mike G's not here to navigate the world with me, but that's okay because I know Mike's working and doing great things out there. The one thing I wanted to talk about, and it's been near and dear to my heart recently, is that there was a case study done back in 2016 on toxic leadership. And as I've been watching different things in the news and authoritarian leaderships and all these different things taking place right now in our society, I'm starting to realize that, we're dealing with a lot of things, vital components. So let me get a really quick disclaimer. If you guys drop me comments, I won't be able to catch them today, but I will go back and read and answer them later because I'm on like 4 different platforms right now. So, and I'm navigating by myself, so I don't have my staff here. So let me just bear with me on that. Also, it's real important to realize that as we go forward, we really need to look at how we do leadership in our society and how we approach that leadership with an open lens. And that's where a lot of challenges come in these days. We don't really attack leadership with the positive energy. And when I say that, I mean is when you walk into an office in the morning as a leader, you should say good morning. You should want to really know what's going on with the people that work in your office. And if you're not asking those questions, that's a problem. And so often we don't see that, and one of the defining issues is the lack of concern and the well-being of subordinates in your office. And so when we talk about toxic leadership, one of the key elements that you realize is that when the boss comes in the room or the senior leader comes in, they go in their office, they close the door, and and only has a small circular group of friends that can talk to them or employees that can talk to them. It's called, the triangle, the circle of trust. Now, that's bad. That is literally the worst thing a leader can do. When I was a general officer in the Army, I rarely allowed myself to be fenced off from my subordinates because I took a page from Colin Powell, which says the moment that your unit or the people in your unit stop bringing you problems, you're failing as a leader. And that's a critical thing that always stayed with me. I also had a leader named D.B. Childs when I was a captain, and he really put this in the most perfect framework for me as a leader. When I got in the unit, it was coming out of, and so I'm a little dated, and my birthday's tomorrow, so I'm a little dated. I'm an old guy. When I was coming out into the unit, and when I was going into the unit I stand corrected here. It was one of the units that was predominantly still African American, and it was in Dublin, Georgia, and it was a repair parts unit. As I look back now, it was a lot of context to this. The unit was actually transitioning from like that old segregated units to an integrated unit. So I started learning a lot of things. And D.V. Childs, a European American officer, was in charge of the entire unit. And he taught me so much about understanding how to become, have a diverse unit, how to approach problems. And then I asked him years later when he pinned my lieutenant colonel on me, why he put me through that process when he was a colonel. And he told me is that he needed to make sure that the future leaders in the Army were open-minded visionaries and constructive in what they do. Now, fast forward, when I made lieutenant colonel right after DV pinned me, I went to Command General Staff College for an instructor's course. And the most interesting thing happened. So one of the top deans in the school, or one of the top leaders in school, who was a civilian at the time, I'm just going to keep his name out of it. He walked in the room and he's talking to all the lieutenant colonels, and he's talking to us about leadership. And then he says, I'm going to say this, and this may offend some people, but I'm going to say it. He goes, as this institution, we failed some soldiers back in the day. And I asked him, so what do you mean? He goes, we've actually made some toxic leaders, some narcissists. He said, we've done a study and we've realized that what message we gave them was the wrong message. And he says now they're becoming the senior leaders and they're becoming in key roles and positions, but they have a skewed perspective of what leadership is. And I say that here's my point. Toxic leadership and toxic leaders are grown. They're not born. They're grown. They're grown by the confirmation bias circles they sit in. They're grown by the senior leaders that mentor them. They're grown by the information that they're protected from. And when they make a mistake, they are put into a position where they do not have to own up to their inconsistencies. All right. And so when you see this transpire, you realize that they have this authoritarian, this I'm above the law kind of perspective, which is a struggle. And you see it playing out in all realms, not just even the military. You see it playing out in corporate America. You see it playing out in different companies, and everybody stands on the sideline and sits in silence. So I call it the bystander effect. And those that went to college, or those that took psychology, or those that took law studies, you guys know what I'm talking about. And the bystander effect is you see something bad happening. You know it's bad, it's happening bad, and yet you do nothing. You stand back on the sidelines and you sit in silence. And then it's only the time you speak up is when you think you have a group of people behind you to support your claim. But God forbid anybody step out on that island by yourself, because you understand the struggles of stepping out on that island by yourself. You know what's going to come when you step out on that island, right? Because you're not going to have any support. And without support, then there's no backing in what you do. All right, so toxic leadership actually is the silent killer of an organization. I'm going to say it again. Toxic leadership is the silent killer of an organization. As leaders, when we sit silently and we don't partake in what's going on in our unit, and we get our command climates and we read them and we get our feelings hurt, then we struggle with what's going on with those feelings. We kind of get upset about it. And so those are the issues that we we have to navigate around and just keep moving. I don't understand how we get through this and how we get things done. The world we live in today is that you actually have to communicate. And so, hold on, pause 1 sec.
Hey, let me know when you take a break, because I need you to put something on your podcast for us.
Okay, I got you, man. Oh yeah, so I'm at the studio and everybody sees me. So everybody's coming us off. Sorry about that little pause there. All right, so when we stand back and we look at what the silent killer of an organization is, it is actually the leader that comes in, closes his door, doesn't talk to anyone. Sometimes you got to step back and you kind of have to just think about what we're doing and how we are structuring life. And the things is, you need to communicate. You need to be able to be approachable. And that's the other thing, is that some of the things that I find as a struggle is that we are not approachable as leaders or as people who we are. And then we decide to put ourselves in that shell. So toxic leadership has a tendency is, as you're not approachable, people don't bring you problems. And then as these problems happen in the organization, the toxic triangle kicks in. It's too late, because then everybody's looking for the blame game. Whose fault? Why did this happen? What's the whole deal with this? Why did this not transpire? You kind of have to stand back and go, this is unbelievable that this is actually transpiring and happening. You know what I'm saying? So there's some dysfunctionality when you are dealing with an organization that at times when people don't want to address problems. I tell them, I have a couple things that I literally hate from leaders. And one of them is, I'll know it when I see it. How many times have many of you heard a leader go, hey, I know it when I see it? I honestly, during my military career, not really in my civilian side, but my military career, I created a PowerPoint presentation for 4 painstaking days. It was just painful. And guess what? At the end of all that work, all those hours, I ended up with the original product. I'll know it when I see it. You know what? As a leader, you got to step back and kind of embrace that and think about that before you pull the trigger and go with that comment. I know it when I see it. As I learned over the years, for me, as I got up in leadership, I literally would sketch on it. If anybody knows me, they'll tell you, I'll find a napkin. I'll say, okay, this is what I think it looks like. And this is kind of where I think we need to go. Now, if you come up with something better and it fits in the framework, so be it. And what would happen is I would lay a foundation of something, but it would not be what the end product was because I allowed the people that work for me to use their latitude, their creativity, their skills, everything that they nurture, and I would use their product and I would give them credit for their product. And what I found out over the years was in doing that process, I changed the dynamics of my unit. So I literally had several units where I literally was top command. And it wasn't because of me. It was because of the subordinates that worked in my command that made a difference. I had to make sure my phone's off. That made a difference in my life and in the organization. You know, while you're looking at things, you got to make sure that you understand that people are strategic thinkers. They have a natural ability to change an organization. But as a senior leader, if you do not give them that latitude, if you do not give them the opportunity or that structure, it's not going to work. You literally have to give some people some freedom to make some decisions. Toxic leadership is that one thing that's destructive. It doesn't allow that. It doesn't allow people to see the world, you know, and as you go in an organization, I literally was in an organization and I was deployed in Iraq. And I'm not going to use any names, you know, to protect the innocent, but I had probably the worst boss possible. The boss was overcautious. Scared to take an opportunity. So I'll just give this one story. So we're in Iraq. There's this document that has to be signed. And the document has a lot of congressional issues to it. When you sign it, you're literally signing, you're committing yourself to some stuff, but it had to have a general signature on it, right? And so, a lot of people, when you have to sign your name on things, man, it becomes a pucker factor, as we say. It becomes a little terminal. So I took the document. I go to my boss and I said, hey, I need these 3 documents signed by the 1-star. And then my boss goes, I don't want you taking that up to him. But here's the deal. If he doesn't sign it, we're not going to be able to do the mission. We're not going to be able to meet the requirements of the people that need these items. He goes, well, I'm not taking it. And so now at the time, I'm just a young major. And I said, look, I'll take it up there. He goes, well, I'm not giving you a direct order to take it up there. If you take it up there, I'm going to let him know that I didn't agree or disagree, but I'm going to however it plays out, it plays out. Think about that. However it plays out, plays out. So in other words, is if it goes sideways, I never told him to come up here. If it goes great, oh, yeah, I was on the team. I've never seen that kind of leadership except when I was there in Iraq at that one point in my life. And I literally stood there and I go, wow, I mean, you're in charge. You realize that this is a critical moment for another unit and they need these documents. So my leader refused to, take them up. So I went upstairs and knocked on the door, saw the aide. I said, hey, I need to see the old man. He says, okay, go ahead. The old man let me in. He's like, what's going on? I said, this is what's going on. I said, but understanding this puts us on the hook for these requirements. If it doesn't go through, we're going to have egg on our face. But we got to make sure it happens. He goes, well, can you make sure it happens? I said, yeah, I can execute it. And I'll get it done. It's going to be a little painful and a little hours on my staff, and my staff's all on board with it, but we just need your signature. So he signed it. Everything went great. We excelled. Everything just went great. And then my boss took all this credit for a lot of the stuff that went on, and I stood there in formation, and I just, it just kind of blew my mind that we have people in our society that literally are risk averse that you can't get anything done. And that's an element of toxic leadership. You effectively have to communicate with people to make a difference in the world, man. There's some good things. Good leaders possess some good qualities, they really do. Self-awareness, you got to garner who the people you work around. You need to appreciate the authenticity of of people that work with you. They're genuine, you know. And then I learned over the years is that it's really important to appreciate those that work around you, work with you, ask them how they're doing, how their kids are doing. You know, at the end of the day, you know, it's real important when you ask a person how their children are doing. They were like, why are you asking? I just want to know. There's a birthday on Friday. Hey, so when I used to be in my organization and someone would say, well, my son's birthday's on Friday, and they had to work, right? I'd come in, let them work for like half a day. And I say, hey, go ahead and go home, man. What, sir? It's Wednesday. I'm like, I don't care. I said, your child has one birthday a year. I said, and if these 4 hours and 5 hours that I'm giving you back in your life for go spend time with your son or daughter or your wife or your spouse or significant other, then you know the Army's we're not gonna make it. I said, I think you need to go home. And so what it does is it resonates with people that, you know, you have to make a difference every day. You know, you really do. You have to stand back. You have to kind of really think about it and decide as a human being, are you bringing value to an organization? I challenge everybody out there to look in the mirror, man. Really, I really do. I challenge you, look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really bringing value to the society that you work in? Are you bringing value to everybody in the organization that you work in? Even if you're a subordinate or you're a mid-level manager, are you bringing value to those that support you every day? Or are you making their lives a living hell? You know, are you part of that destructive leadership, suspectable, always, you know, accusing people of stuff and making sure that, you know, what is it, the CYA, I'm covering my ass and make sure that I don't get in trouble, you know, living in fear every day. And what we found out was when they've done the amount of command climates for the military, the amount of surveys for companies, and yeah, a lot of people are going to talk bad about a leader that holds people accountable. That's known fact. I've lived that one too. But what I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is the person that chooses not to take ownership of an organization when it's not going the right direction. We all have opportunities to make a difference every day, and we have all opportunities to shape the world the way it is. So, guys, I just wanted to get on today real quick, about 20 minutes, and just talk about toxic leadership and just ask yourself, are you being the best version of yourself? And if you are, keep going. And if you're not, hey, make some adjustments. Start doing some soul searching and making sure that you're on the team helping people. You know, there was the research thing done. There's a website right there. It's about over the years, you know, and from 1950, when we went to this white collar structure of work after World War II to now, we still have a lot of history behind that, you know, that impacts people. All right. And so, guys, if you ever check out my photos, I get them done at this studio. They rock, you know, Seacrest Studios. They rock. They do a great job with us. And always down here at Rack Studios in Tampa, Florida, we are always trying to make a difference there. The Embrace of Power has 2 new shows, Aspire to Inspire with Dr. Jennifer Blaylock, and then we have Amy Lee Miller. She's rocking it on her show, and we're getting after it. So you know what? Just check out both shows. They're on my channel. They have their own channels, and you know, and Amy Lee is killing it with Unleash. And you know, just got to keep unleashing who you are, be the best version of yourself, and make a difference. And as I always say, aspire to inspire, and maybe sure you always got to keep rolling and make a difference in the world. And if you don't, then you're not doing your part. And with that being said, keep it rolling. Out.